So I've been making videos on and off about my life and trying to inspire others, but I feel that I need to make this video from beginning to end so you could fully understand and to close this chapter once and for all in my life. So growing up wasn't really easy. I grew up in Jamaica, so I guess you couldn't expect much other than, you know, being a girl, being raised basically as a housewife. As in that time there wasn't anything really else to do, or the elderlies were trained to raise their kids that way. So that happens, but luckily I left and I was introduced to a better life. However, before all of this happened, around 10 years old, my cousin tried to molest me. Luckily my mom came and we haven't spoke since. Well, I don't hate him or anything for it, but it just hurted that he said I was lying. And at 10 years old, if you have a kid ready to stab you with a knife because you won't take no for an answer, there was definitely something wrong. Moving on from there, my mom went overseas when I was about 11, and in result of that I had to move back with my mom, my dad and aunt, and that was a whole nother story. The treatment received being around her. One thing I can say, she would feed us, but other than that, my life was a living nightmare without anyone knowing. I don't want to complain about the church too much because we were expected to do it, but it was overwhelming. Underneath all of that, I ended up getting raped one night when someone broke into the house and took me. I remember calling for my aunt like 3 times before I was threatened that I would be shot. You know, I woke up out of my bed and there was a gun to my head and a voice telling me not to say anything, and still I did call, but whether she was in a deep sleep or what, I don't know. She didn't hear me, no one came to my rescue. But before that, I did tell her someone was outside. She probably thought that I was just being a silly child and imagining stuff, and she said whatever is out there needs to stay out there. But that's not what happened. Whatever was out there came inside that night, took me out of my bed, took me into the backyard where we had some old stone ancestral graves, and I got raped there. Never before had sex or know what it really was about. And after it was finished, he had me promise if I wouldn't say anything, then he would make me live. And if I did say something, he would come back and kill me. And I agreed to that bargain for some reason, unresponsively, because I was no longer interested in being living. I was just hurt and humiliated. I felt like everything was taken away from me. So he took me back and we got out of the house, and I remember seeing a second shadow there, and for years I wasn't sure or not if there was someone else, but there was. So happened in the morning that my cousin, which was my best friend at the time, realized there was something wrong, and I ended up breaking down to her and telling her what happened. And she told me I had to tell her mom, which was my aunt, or she would, you know. And so I ended up telling my aunt. I don't know if it was a mistake or not, but at that time I pretty well felt like it was. Instantly after telling her, she went and walked the whole community, having me fall behind her, repeating what had happened. To her, I was just repeating it, but to me, I was reliving it, knowing that everything I was just taken from me within that one instant, and it couldn't be returned. And when I asked why, the answer was that my rapist told me that he thought I was my aunt's daughter. And he was supposed to kidnap her to get a ransom, because he said that my aunt was keeping a lot of money for one of my uncles that she was close with. I don't know where you get all this information and how the story was plotted, but in the midst of all that, I got caught up and I was taken instead of her. And I don't look at it as, you know, something happened to me that was supposed to happen to her and I'm mad about it. I am not, because who knows, he probably would have taken her and killed her and she wouldn't be here today. So I always say everything happened for a reason. And even though I don't understand it, I try to use it as a life lesson learned, and will later be rewarded in some way. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I was highly religious, been baptized, repented, you know, call in God, believe in God, and all that. And so with that, I just said, you know, it's a lesson to be learned, and been suffering throughout all the years. I then try to put it behind me and pretend it never happened. Sort of a selective amnesia, which worked sometimes and others don't, especially when I would go to school and, you know, I would get teased about it with them not knowing what happened. So back to after telling the whole community my dad was home, which was surprising to me because he was supposed to be away at work, and the moment he got there was as if he instantly flew, you know, back. It was that quick, and he was really pissed off, high rate. He took off with a machete, you know, heading to go kill this guy. I don't know how he knew him or anybody. I had never seen the guy before or heard of him, but it so happened that when he got there, the guy was already dead, being that he was wanted by the cops. So when my dad got there, was shot dead, you know, was on the floor dead. And he came back and he told me that, which didn't make it better or worse for me. I was just lost and confused, and that's all that there was. And he told me that the guy was sorry and I was the wrong person. And I'm like, how could he be sorry? If he knew before he did that to me that I was the wrong person, why wouldn't he just take me back, you know? But it was too late for all of that, and I could care less if he was sorry or not. I didn't hate him, and I don't know how to explain it, but I wasn't angry at him. I was just trying to find myself. I couldn't believe that within such short time, all that I was gone. And I had thought that I would never suffer, you know. On our way there, I saw the church and I was praying and begging to God that nothing would happen to me, that I would be okay. And I can remember it was like looking up on the church and praying to God and nothing happened. I felt as if God was laughing at me or mocking me. It was hard for me to say that, but that's how I felt when he brought me right there, where if the church has eyes, it would be looking up on the disgrace and the pain that I was feeling. And with all of that, after that happened, my aunt brought another man into her home saying it was her cousin, and he tried to molest me. And this was only a year after I woke up. He tried to have his hand on my pants, and I had to get out of bed to prevent that from happening. And when I did tell her the next day, she never believed me either. She thought I was lying. I didn't give her a reason to have these doubts and believe, but yet she thought for some reason I was a manipulative little lying little child, or I think she thought that, because why would she not believe me? I had nothing against the man. And overall, how do you bring a man into your home where you have your niece and decide that he's going to sleep in the same bed with her? Family or not, you just don't do that. So after that, I felt like I had no one to talk to, you know. And my dad wasn't talkative, and being that he was a male, and I don't know, we just didn't communicate. And the only person I had there that I thought I could turn to was her. But if she's gonna believe I'm lying, or I'm just a bad kid, only because I'm quiet, I'm supposedly sneaky, then I had no one to turn to, and so I turned to journals. I would write and write and write. I would read a lot, and I would do that up till I left Jamaica, I was 16 then. And finally that day came, and I thought, I'm finally set free. I finally escaped this dark hole that I've been placed in. And as soon as we got here, you know, I didn't recognize my mom. She's gone so long. We didn't have a good connection back home anyways. From a moment my dad lied on me, and it just seemed like she hated me. I don't know if a parent could hate her child, but at that moment I thought she really hated me. I tried everything since then to get her love, and I just felt like it wasn't there. It was placed solely in another child. And with that, my life started all over from phase one. Stuff happened, and I ended up moving out of my mom's home. And later, you know, it was for school purposes, and I lived with my aunt. I just felt that need. I wanted that love. I feel like I wasn't getting it from anywhere or anyone how I really wanted to, and I turned my attention to a guy who later got me pregnant. On the first occasion, I had it beaten out of me. And on the second one, I decided I wanted to be pregnant. I felt like that was the only way to emancipate myself from the control of my mom. And even though I got pregnant young, I would say now that I don't regret it. It's just made me a better person and who I am today, and provide me with the strength. Because later on, when I wanted to kill myself every day, I feel like life is worthless, and I would run away from home and trying to escape reality. My son was the one who strengthened me, telling myself I do not want him to go through what I had to go through. I don't want him to live the life I live. I want him to have everything I couldn't and more. And with that, my motivation grew. It wasn't easy. There was self-harm, not for sympathy, but the pain from cutting myself would distract me from the reality I'm living that wanted to make me put a gun to my head. And with all of this, I never exposed it to my child. Other than moments when I get angry and I yell real loud. And for those moments I cried. Because if in some way I later found out that I traumatized my child, I could never forgive myself. And so I asked all the time when I get mad, and I would scream at him. I had to go and explain that Mommy loved you. And she didn't mean to. And with that, my disciplinary mode at times, or question, did he really do something wrong? Did I really need to yell at him that hard? Maybe I should just let him be. But then he would grow up and he would know right from wrong, and so I would be confused. But it did get better. It did get better around my second child. After my marriage, which ended up being a living hell in the beginning, I got pregnant. And with my husband being away, and something, that moment when I got pregnant, my emotions was just off. I thought I was depressed, or it was a different sign of pregnancy. And so I asked my doctor, am I supposed to be depressed? And he's like, not really. He sent someone to my house, so I ended up going to the hospital, to get checked out, not knowing that the mental institution is in the hospital. And I got locked in there for a day though. I had to go get my son, or probably they wouldn't have released me at all. And so I started therapy. The very first time I started therapy, which I didn't believe in, and my therapist diagnosed me with PTSD. I thought this was all just, I'm gonna go along with the flow, But no, really, I saw the therapy help. Talking every day did help me to confront what was going on with me, confront that was reality, that wasn't a dream. I had to wake up and face my demons. And it was hard, but it gets better day by day. At first, I would be driving and I just wanted to drive my car off the highway. If it was easy, I think I would have slit my own throat. But other than self-harming to distract me from reality, I couldn't really take my own life. At least with my conscience. When my son is in the next room and where I'm crying my eyes out, or I'm shaking at night, or I hear the voices, or I have the 10 knives under my pillow. He's in the next room, anything, mommy's all okay. Anything, everything was okay. And I didn't want him to think or know otherwise. I would only be resetting the pattern for him later on. And I love him to death, because I know if I didn't have him, I would not have made it this far. I didn't expect I was gonna cry, because I would say that I have overcome, but the memory still hurts. After all of that, having my children, having a family, and finally experiencing what happiness and a future is, I can say if I was to die, I would feel satisfied with the after experience. But I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to go because I know there's greater things for me to do. With all of that, I almost lose my daughter. I was told on several occasions by the doctor that I would have a miscarriage. And the first one, I tried to pretend that it didn't happen. But this one, I felt the moving every day. And the signs was just there. And I couldn't live with myself, and that baby that I've developed so far would have been lost. There's no way I could have handled that. And thank God I didn't have to. Right after her birth, then came the sunshine though. I moved to a whole new area, and it was like a whole new start. But that didn't last long either. After a year or so, I started with pain. So now I had mental issues that I'm trying to deal with on my own because I refused to take the medication while I was pregnant. And now I have pain. I went to the doctor for a whole year before they found out what was wrong with me. I was starting to think that I am crazy because they run tests and tests and tests, and I was fine. Everything said I was fine. Until I went in one day and I was like, I can put my hand in my stomach. And as crazy as it sounds, that's how it feels. Eventually I got a scan with contrast. And I also went to see the general surgeon, and he told me I had a umbilical hernia. Now, the decision was to go in and suture it. Okay. But when he went in, it was so big I had to put a mesh. Thought that would solve all my problems. No, it even got worse. Pelvic pain, the abdominal pain, it goes on and on and on. Went from endoscopy, they told me I had a hiatal hernia, to colonoscopy, having a polyp that could have become cancerous, to a laparoscopy, and within 12, 13, around 3 years, I had a total of 7 procedures. But I'm still here today. And recently I did one and ended up doing another one, which the doctors told me that if I didn't know my body and come in, I would have died. And with that, I have to laugh because now I'm convinced I'm really not going anywhere. There was too many chances for my life to be taken, and I am still here. For some reason, I need to suffer. And I need to suffer more. So I have no choice but to believe that there is greater good out there for me. And if belief is not strong enough, I know, and I will make it happen. After going through all of this, I cannot just accept that I will pass away just as. No. I refuse to believe that. And so I'm going to make sure that the rest of life that I have, the couple of years that I have left, fate or no fate, it's going to be worth my while. And whatever come at me, I'll just have to challenge it. I'll just have to beat it. Because I'm tired of being knocked over. Being knocked over for no reason. It is said that there's cause and effect. But I don't know what put in motion those cause for me to be receiving these effects. I must have a previous life that I don't remember, or I am completely insane. Or whatever it is, I'm gonna make sure I come out on top. I did this video for me to embrace what I've gone through, and also to repeat to myself every day, because the more I stand up to my demons, the weaker they get. And also to give motivation to someone out there that feels like there is no hope. Whether you believe in miracles or not, there is hope. And you just have to fight. Do not just give up. Do not just give in to whatever it is that you're facing. No. Fight that fight so that you can survive, whether it's for you or someone else. At the end of the day, when it's your time, when it's really your time to go, you can go peacefully and happily and say, yes, now I'm ready. Don't just let something knock you over and do nothing about it. For more of my videos, I'll be on YouTube. as Obstruction 101, Facebook. I do have a website. Please share this video to help as much people out there. I know a little motivation goes a long way. And I come here uncensored, uncut, solely myself, saying how I feel and what I felt without remorse, so that I can give you to hope.